Do you remember when a single kiss could make your heart race, when just the brush of his lips felt like the whole world paused? Back then, his kisses were loud. They spoke of passion, urgency, and the thrill of being wanted. But now, decades later, things feel quieter. You still share a life. You still sit at the same dinner table. Maybe you even laugh at the same old jokes. But something has shifted, hasn't it? The long, slow kisses have turned into a brief peck on the cheek. The spontaneous hugs have been replaced by polite shoulder taps. And sometimes you catch yourself wondering, is this still love or just routine? Linda, a 61-year-old woman from Minnesota, once shared something simple but powerful. She said, "He still kisses me every day, but I don't feel it anymore. If you've ever had that same thought, even for a moment, I want you to know, you're not alone." So many women over 55 quietly carry this ache. You've given your heart, your years, your best days to someone, and now you wonder if that love still lives and breathes the way it used to. This video isn't here to teach you how to reignite passion or play mind games. It's here to help you understand what love looks like after 30, 40, even 50 years together. Because love doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And those whispers, those subtle gestures, those quiet kisses, they still mean something. Today, I'll help you decode them, not just to understand them better, but to help you feel seen again. Section 1, Linda's question. Is he still in love with me? Linda is 61, retired, and living in a quiet suburb of Minnesota. Her children are grown, married, and raising their own families. The house that once echoed with laughter, teenage drama, and busy schedules now hums with a quieter rhythm. She and her husband, Mike, have been married for over 35 years, and by all accounts, Mike is a good man, steady, loyal, always reliable. But lately, something's been weighing on Linda's heart. A question she hasn't dared to ask out loud. Is he still in love with me? It's not that Mike has done anything wrong. He still does the grocery run every Saturday. He still mows the lawn without being asked. He still sits beside her on the couch while they watch their favorite crime shows. But the hugs are fewer, the kisses feel routine, and the long conversations they used to have over wine on the patio seem like a distant memory. One night, while folding laundry, Linda found herself wondering, if I disappeared tomorrow, would he notice? Would he feel my absence? Or would the rhythm of his days continue untouched? This feeling is more common than we talk about. It has a name, even if it doesn't show up in medical textbooks, but I call it the invisible in long-term love syndrome. And it quietly haunts so many women in long relationships, not because the love is gone, but because its expression has changed, and we haven't always been taught how to read it. In the early years, love shouted, it danced. It surprised us with flowers and notes and kisses that made our knees weak. But over time, it got quieter. It settled into routines. And for many women, especially those over 55, this quietness starts to feel like absence. Linda tried to brush it off at first. She told herself, this is just what happens. We're older now. But late at night, when Mike would turn over and fall asleep without reaching for her, a small ache formed. Not from neglect, but from the silence. From the space that used to be filled with effort and presence. She started watching him more closely, noticing the way he absent-mindedly tapped her back as he passed by. The way he still brought home her favorite yogurt without asking. The way he made sure the thermostat was set just right when the temperatures dropped. These were the things she used to take for granted. But now, with new eyes, they looked different. They looked intentional. Still, Linda couldn't shake the question, does he feel about me the way he used to? Or am I just here? So one evening, after a quiet dinner, Linda finally asked. Not with anger, not with tears, just soft curiosity.
Do you still love me the same way you used to?
Mike looked up, confused at first, then a bit hurt. He took a breath.
I don't love you the same way. I love you more now.
Just different. He paused, searching for the right words. Back then, I was trying to win you. Now, I'm trying to keep you safe. Back then, it was about the chase. Now, it's about being someone you can count on. That moment didn't fix everything, but it opened a new chapter in their marriage. one where they began to relearn each other's love language, one where Linda started to notice the steady hand behind every small act, one where Mike, gently nudged by the conversation, began reaching out more, touching her shoulder in passing, sitting with her a little longer before bed. Linda's story isn't unique. If you're listening to this and feeling like her, wondering if your partner still sees you, still chooses you, you're not alone. What you're experiencing is a very human response to the evolution of love. Love, after decades, shifts. It's no longer always loud or passionate. It doesn't always show up in candlelit dinners or spontaneous kisses, but it can be just as deep, sometimes deeper, because it's rooted in years of shared life, in grief weathered together, in children raised, in forgiveness offered, in illnesses tended to, in laughter that grows softer but truer. But here's the challenge. As women, we're often the emotional translators in the relationship. We notice when the temperature of connection drops. We're attuned to the subtle shifts, and when our partner stops expressing love in the ways we're used to, we interpret it as withdrawal. That's why stories like Linda's matter. Because they remind us to pause, to look again, to read between the lines. Maybe he doesn't say, "I love you" out loud anymore. But maybe he makes sure your windshield wipers are replaced before a storm. Maybe he doesn't plan date nights, but he still clears the snow off your car first. Maybe he doesn't talk about the relationship, but he fixes the broken steps so you don't trip. These acts may look mundane, but they are, in their own language, declaration. Still, we're allowed to long for more. Longing doesn't make you needy. It makes you human. What helped Linda wasn't pretending she didn't need affection. It was giving herself permission to voice it, not in blame, but in vulnerability. And that vulnerability opened a door. Mike didn't suddenly become poetic or overly affectionate, but he became more aware, more intentional. And Linda, in turn, began to feel seen again, not just for the roles she played in their life together, but for who she still was. A woman with a heart that wanted to be touched, emotionally and physically. So if you're wondering, like Linda did,
whether his love is still there,
maybe the question isn't if he loves you. Maybe it's, are you both speaking the same language anymore?
And if not, is it time to gently teach each other again?
Love isn't static. It evolves, just like we do. And sometimes it simply needs a translator. Let Linda's story be your permission to feel, to ask,
to reawaken the quiet love that may already be holding you, even if it doesn't always say so out loud.
Section 2, Decode His Love. The 3 kisses you've been missing. Not all love speaks in words, especially not after 30, 40 years together. Sometimes the love you're looking for isn't gone. It's simply speaking in a quieter language. And if you've ever looked at your husband's small gestures, those subtle kisses, those routine habits, and wondered, does this still mean something? This is where we begin. Let's decode 3 of the most common, but most overlooked ways your partner might be saying, "I still love you." These kisses may not come with music playing or candles lit, but they hold volumes if you know how to listen. 1. The forehead kiss. "You're my safe place." This is one of the most tender, quiet forms of physical affection. And yet it's often misunderstood. A forehead kiss doesn't come from desire or passion. It doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't ask for more. It simply lands, soft, still, grounded, and that's what makes it so powerful. Psychologists call this the kiss of protection and reverence. When someone kisses your forehead, they're not just acknowledging you, they're claiming you as someone sacred. It's an unspoken way of saying, "You matter, I'm here, I see you as mine." Jack, 67, told me a story once that stayed with me. He said, "Every night before bed, I lean over and kiss Joan's forehead. I don't think she even notices it anymore, but I do it because she's my peace." That kiss, it's like sealing the day with gratitude. Joan may not always notice it, or maybe she does, quietly, and just never says anything. But Jack's kiss is real, and for him, it's a ritual of affection, a silent prayer of presence. The forehead kiss might not leave butterflies in your stomach, but it's rooted in something even deeper than excitement: safety. When your husband kisses your forehead, especially in quiet or routine moments, before sleep, while you're reading, when you're not even paying attention. That's often his way of anchoring you, of saying, I'm still here, I still choose you. For women 55 plus, whose bodies and roles have changed through the decades, that kiss can be one of the deepest validations. Not of beauty or performance, but of lasting connection. If you've ever received one and brushed it off as just a habit, pause for a moment. He might be telling you something far more beautiful than you realize. 2. A hand kiss. Thank you for choosing me. There's something timeless about a kiss on the hand. It's almost old-fashioned, isn't it? Like something out of a black and white movie. But in long-term love, it takes on a whole new meaning. This isn't about flirtation. It's about reverence, gratitude, and sometimes even apology. Bob, 72, sits with his wife each morning at their favorite coffee shop in Virginia. He told me, every morning, while we're waiting for the coffee, I take her hand and kiss it. Not for her, for me. It reminds me how lucky I am that she's still here. A hand kiss may seem small, but it often comes from a deep emotional place. One that says, I haven't forgotten. I still remember what it meant when you said yes to me all those years ago. This gesture tends to show up in men who are quieter, men who struggle to say, I love you out loud. Men who don't always know how to express vulnerability. They let their hands speak. And when your partner kisses your hand, especially spontaneously, without any fanfare, it can be his way of expressing reverence. A way of saying, thank you for staying. Thank you for still holding my hand. It's also a gesture of humility, not dominance. He's not reaching to take. He's reaching to honor. If your husband has ever kissed your hand, while helping you out of the car, while sitting on the porch, while holding your fingers during a hard moment, don't brush it off. That's not nothing. That's a lifetime of gratitude in a single touch. 3. A shoulder or cheek kiss. You still matter to me of all the kisses. This is the one most likely to be missed. It's quick. It's casual. It often happens in passing, but that doesn't mean it's empty. Martin, 64, shared with me how he and his wife cook dinner together every night. She chops. I stir. We do it side by side like we've done for years, he said. And sometimes I just lean over and kiss her on the shoulder. She doesn't stop what she's doing, but I want her to know I still notice her. The cheek or shoulder kiss is what I call the anchor kiss. It's not about passion or ritual, it's about presence. It often happens in the middle of chaos, while the dog is barking, the dishwasher's running, and the grandkids are playing on the floor. And yet, in that split second, he reaches for you, just for a moment. It's his way of saying, you're still the center of this home. I'm still tethered to you. These kisses rarely come with eye contact. They're not announcements. They're not always noticed. But they are deliberate. And in a long-term relationship, where days can blur and conversations can feel like checklists, these tiny touches matter more than we think. They are proof that even in the mundane, there is still intimacy. If you've ever felt a quick kiss on your cheek and wondered if it meant anything, it might have meant everything. Why these kisses matter for many women over 55, the question isn't, does he love me? It's, does he still see me? After decades of caregiving, multitasking, sacrificing, and staying, you want to feel like more than just the background to someone else's routine. You want to feel chosen, not just remembered, but prioritized. These 3 kinds of kisses don't shout, they don't sparkle, they don't post well on Instagram, but they whisper what we most need to hear. I see you, I respect you, I still choose you. And often, your husband may not even realize how meaningful these kisses are, because the truth is, men, especially men in their 60s and 70s, were not raised to express affection through deep conversation or emotional language. They were taught to show up, to stay, to fix, to serve, and in their quiet gestures, kissing your forehead as you fall asleep, holding your hand during breakfast, brushing your shoulder in the kitchen, they are doing exactly that, showing up, saying, I'm still here. What to do if you've been missing them, if you've overlooked these kisses, or dismissed them as routine? That's okay. It's never too late to start noticing. And if your partner hasn't been offering these gestures lately, don't panic. Many men simply need gentle, loving reminders that physical touch still matters. Sometimes, just placing your hand on his when you sit down next to him can restart the conversation. Sometimes, asking softly, "Will you hold me for a moment?" can reawaken a habit that got lost in the busyness. And sometimes, telling him, "When you kissed my forehead last night, it meant a lot to me," gives him the encouragement to keep going. Men may not need validation in the same way women do, but they respond beautifully when their efforts are acknowledged. So, if you've been wondering whether the love is still there, look again, look closer, because sometimes it's not the loud declarations that matter most. It's the silent touches, the forehead, the hand, the shoulder. The kisses you've been missing might just be the proof you were looking for all along. You might be wondering, why does love get quieter with age? Why does the man who once couldn't keep his hands off you now barely touches your shoulder as he walks by? Why does the man who used to whisper sweet nothings now only grumble about the thermostat? Here's the truth many women over 55 haven't been told. Love doesn't fade, it just transforms, and the transformation is not a loss, it's a deepening. Psychologists describe this change as a shift from passionate love to companionate love. Passionate love is what we feel in the early stages: butterflies, longing, intensity. It's exciting but often unstable. Companionate love, on the other hand, is built over decades. It's steady, calm, and full of meaning, even when it's quiet. And for many baby boomer and Gen X men, this quietness isn't a mistake. It's a language, one they were raised to speak. Men in their 60s and 70s were often taught to express love through action, not emotion. They didn't grow up in a world that encouraged vulnerability or emotional literacy. So, instead of saying "I love you," they say it by making your coffee just the way you like it, by checking the oil in your car, by sitting beside you in silence because that's where they feel close. This is especially true in physical gestures like kissing. The passionate kisses of youth, messy, eager, dramatic, are often replaced by more subtle ones. A kiss on the forehead before bed, a touch on the cheek as he passes. These are not signs of distance, they're signs of comfort, of long-held closeness, of a bond so deep it doesn't need to shout. When he kisses your hand in the morning, he might be saying, "I still choose you." When he kisses your forehead, he might be whispering, "You're my safe place." When he leans in to kiss your shoulder as you cook, that moment is his way of saying, "I see you. I still love you." These are micro-gestures of affection. And in long-term love, micro-gestures are everything. They are the glue. The quiet evidence that he's still showing up, even if the ways have changed. So if you've felt unseen lately, or unsure if he still feels the same, don't measure his love by how loudly he says it. Measure it by how consistently he's present, by the quiet ways he still reaches for you, because love, real love, doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just quietly stays, and in a world that moves so fast, where so many people walk away, staying is the loudest "I love you" of all. Real love doesn't disappear. It evolves. It shifts from grand gestures to quiet rituals, from fireworks to the soft glow of a steady flame. The forehead kiss before bed, the gentle squeeze of your hand at the grocery store, the way he makes sure your car is filled with gas before winter hits. These aren't small things. They're the language of love spoken fluently by a man who may not say the words out loud, but shows you every day in the way he stays, supports, and sees you. So don't count the kisses. Don't measure his love by how often he says, "I love you." Instead, notice how he shows up, how he remembers your favorite blanket when the house gets cold, how he makes your morning coffee without asking, how he listens, really listens, even if he doesn't always know what to say. And maybe most importantly, notice how he still chooses you, not with flowers or poems, but with presence, with patience, with the kind of affection that doesn't shout, but never leaves. You're not invisible. You're not forgotten. You are deeply, quietly, consistently loved. It just might be time to listen to the new language it speaks. Which of these quiet kisses spoke to you the most? Have you experienced one without realizing what it meant? Share your story in the comments, because when we speak our truths, we help each other feel seen. And if this video brought you comfort, pass it on to a friend who might need the same reminder today.